So here's the only choice you have left. It's called 0 point, zero player. Don't play. Remember the end of War Games? Professor, do you want to play a game? No. And how did they defeat the computer, the Whopper? How did they defeat it? The professor said, hey, Professor Fox says, put in 0 players. And the computer had to play itself. So when you do this, the system has to play against itself. Now it's got a worthless bond that is attached to so many different things, and it collapses all of those fractals. The bond that was created through the deception of my parents was nullified in the instant I discovered this. So what they've got there is whatever that bond, and we checked it out back about 3 years ago, and this is all literal shit. I don't like getting into this, but just to give people an example of it, what do you call it? I think it's 1.2 or 1.3 billion was what the bond that was attached to the legal name that I was using fraudulently was worth. So when I collapsed the legal name, it collapsed that bond completely. And that bond was attached to every other bond. Remember, the derivatives, the CDCs, and all of these other, dice and slice mortgages, and everything getting put into bundles.
Right.
Right. The only reason they could get away with that, and I'll get into the mortgage fraud, which this is the eye opener that really wakes people up. But what happens there is they can do that because with legal name they own all things Crown. So give you an example of mortgage fraud.
Okay.
You see, people think they own their home. They don't. One, you don't own the name, and the contract you created was through that legal name that you're using without Crown permission. Do you have a bar card? If you say no, then you're committing fraud. You don't have right of permission. You didn't get a letter from the owners of the legal name.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. That's copyright infringement right there. And it's really funny because it's all about copyright infringement. You remember how they got Al Capone with tax evasion instead of murder?
Exactly.
This is exactly the same game. It's like, oh yeah, it's all fraud. Now, where was that mortgage? You think you own the house. Well, I'll tell you, did you sign the line after the one doing the loan up put an X there? You're the co-signer, babies.
Yeah, what does that X mean?
That's a signature. X means life, by the way. It's Phoenician. Greek, chi, ki.
Yeah.
See, Phoenician connects every language. I speak the living language. I can connect every language. Phoenician works in all of them. This same trick that I just showed you works in every language.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions for you because, that's something that comes up anytime this kind of material is talked about as well. What about other languages? But I guess if it applies to all of them.
Yeah, well, let's prove it. Because I don't just say stuff without proof.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, there's only one thing that every language on this planet has in common, and it's not the letters. It's not the words. Remember, you've got Russian characters, Korean characters, Japanese characters, Arabic characters, Western alphabet characters, and all of these different things that all create one thing when you look at them and utter them. It's called sound. Mm-hmm. Every language has sound in common, just like every human has legal name in common. Mm-hmm. So I look for the one common denominator in everything. I find the 0 point. What is the cause? What is the one thing that causes all these other things? And you cannot have a language without sound. Now, you can have American Sign Language, but then you're still going to be translating that back into a word, true or false. Yes. So what Phoenician does is it dispels the word. It takes the power out of the sigils. And for anyone that's ever done any research in the sigils and the black magic and all the rest of it, that's the trick that the parasites used. What I'm showing people is how to diffuse it, collapse it, and destroy the spells so that when they take a word like refuse, like I did, it's not their spell anymore, it's mine. You see the difference?
Yeah.
I changed the sound of the meaning within refuse. Live in this show with you.
And even the word spelling, that right there is got a meaning to it.
Well, it tells you right out in your face. That's why they sentence you and put you in a cell, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want your power, and of course they use words. The letter kills, remember that? Some guy, Paul, I think, said that somewhere.
It is trippy stuff, but I mean, if people want to test it, you think it's hard to get your newborn out of a hospital without the vaccines. Try to get out without a legal name and a birth certificate.
Yeah, they love holding moms and kids hostages until they get that. And even if you get out, they send a birth certificate along with baby boy or baby girl. And this has literally happened.
So this basically, you're telling us how this is a spiritual battle, and
It's a scam. It's a spiritual scam, because if you agree to be a legal name, you've agreed to be dead by consent. You see, the legal name, in the most literal sense, is the gate to hell. You can't be alive and have a legal name. It's a dead, fictional, two-dimensional, flat earth world. It's a papacy.
So who is taking the ownership of all these possessions that are being registered?
Well, they go to the crown, and whoever is, whatever little team is running this scam are the ones milking it. But it's not the money they're after. This is what I have to get across to people. It's not the money they're after. That's just the effect. What they're really after is your soul. This is a game for your soul. In case you were ever wondering why you were on a spiritual journey, I just told you why. Maybe have a look at that. Just say, at least look at it, Don't fluff this stuff off because it sounds different and weird and outside the box. You see, that's what happens when we get programmed in schools as children, in churches as children, with our parents. Remember, we came in here crystal clear, absolute pure, and our canvas was already painted for us. Our reality was already decided and defined for us. Okay, you're going to be white, you're going to be black, you're going to be male, you're going to be female, you're going to be Christian, you're going to be Muslim, you're going to be Jew, you're going to be American, you're going to be Afghani, you're going to be Lithuanian, you see, wherever you show up on the planet, your canvas is predetermined for you by the family around you and the community around you. And the Crown has done a masterful job of creating all these little corporations called countries and all sorts of little flags to make everyone feel special and different from everybody else. But it's the biggest divide and conquer of humanity going. I don't know about you, but when I look at the planet, I only see one Earth. I don't see any squiggly lines on the ground. And how many times have these maps changed? So what is real here? And that's what we're dealing with. Is real, not Israel. This is what it means to be the children of Israel, not what is fake.
Interesting.
And the legal name is not real. It's all in the phonics. I'll play this game with you all day long, and you'll have little aha moments going, oh yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. That's what I do. I show you the magic.
Yeah, money's another good one I've heard you talk about.
Yeah, Moonai. Yeah. Worship of sin. That's the ancient goddess, the moon, sin. So if you're worshiping the false idol called the legal name, here's the thing for the Christian fundamentalists. You better wake up to this one real quick. Because using a legal name, you're breaking all 10 of the commandments, and I can prove it. That's all it takes. I've said it very clearly. The legal name is the gate to hell. Come back through, close the gate forever. And only then, that's when, ye must be born again. That's what the guy was talking about. It wasn't about, take me as your savior. No, that was the last thing J-Boy was saying. He was telling you, why do you call me Lord, yet not do the things I do, dopey? I put the J-Boy in very literal senses. I mean, these were all fictional works. They're all allegorical works. They're not literals. They got people looking for cities in the Bible that never existed. It's funny. I mean, all these books, the Quran, the Bible, the Vedics, all of this stuff came out of Egypt, the Greeks, right? The Greeks wrote this stuff. Look at the name Jesus. It's 888. It's a Greek word. It's not a Middle Eastern. I don't know about you, but I don't know too many Arabian or Middle Eastern types called Peter, Paul, Mary, Joe.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, Mark, Luke, those are all Western names.
Right. So what happened there?
Well, see, these are the blatant clues to say, hey, wake up. So I did.
And I know early on in this, we've kind of tiptoed around this, but you got started digging into the Vatican. And what's their role in all this?
Well, it's a triple crown, right? If you look at the papal crown, it's a triple crown, that's a trinity. So I looked for the Trinity, and there are 3 city-states on the planet that run this place. It's true. You have the Vatican City, which is a country, state. Then you have the City of London, state, a country within the City of London, England, right? When you send something to the City of London, you don't write England because it's not in England.
It's like a district, like D.C. or something.
No, it's a country, and the next one is Washington, District of Columbia, which is a registered country. Now, what did I say about registered? All things registered are all things crowned. So that's your triple crown trinity of Rome, London, DC. Now remember, DC also means direct current. So that attaches right to the bonds. That's why all the birth certificate bonds are stored in Washington, D.C., because it's draining the direct current of the spirit out of the bonds and the contracts.